All right, today we're going to get laser focused on probably the most critical part of your entire business, your offer. We are going to take any fuzzy idea you might have and turn it into something so clear, so specific that it pretty much sells itself. Let's dive in. So let's start with the big, frustrating question, right? Why isn't your offer selling? You know you have a great skill, a really valuable service, but for some reason, the sales just aren't happening. And you might think, oh, it's my marketing, or maybe my audience isn't big enough. But honestly, more often than not, the problem is a lot simpler. It's the offer itself. This right here, this is the core idea for our entire explainer. If you remember one thing, make it this. See, when a potential customer is even a little bit confused about what you do, who it's for, or the result they're going to get, their default action is to do nothing. They just click away. But when you're crystal clear, you get rid of all that confusion. You create confidence, not just for them, but for you too. Okay, so let's dig in to the root of the problem. I call it the high cost of vague. And it really comes down to a fundamental difference between what most people try to sell and what people are actually willing to open their wallets for. Think about it. Most offers fail because they're just vague ideas, not specific outcomes. An offer like, I teach social media marketing feels like information. And we live in a world where information is basically free, right? It's on YouTube, it's in blogs, it's a commodity. It feels cheap. A transformation, though, that's an outcome. It's a result. It's that after picture your client is dreaming of. And that is something they will gladly invest in. So here's the good news. There is a systematic way to fix this. This isn't about being some kind of creative marketing genius. Nope, it's just about following a simple, repeatable framework. This structure takes all the guesswork out of it and it forces you to get specific. And here they are. These are the 4 pillars of a really powerful offer. You need a specific audience, a specific outcome, a specific timeline, and a specific mechanism. Once you define all 4 of these, you end up with an offer that's pretty much impossible to ignore. So let's break down what each one actually means. First up, your audience. Entrepreneurs is not an audience. That's way too broad. First-time course creators? Okay, that's getting better. But what about first-time course creators who are struggling to get their first 10 students? Now we're talking. That is a specific audience. And when someone in that group hears your message, they're going to feel like you're talking directly to them. Next up, the outcome. This has to be tangible. It can't be something fuzzy like feel more confident. It has to be something you can actually see or measure or count. So think things like lose 15 pounds or land 3 new clients or build a revenue-generating asset. This is the destination you're selling. This is the transformation. So how long is it going to take to get to that destination? You see, without a timeline, an outcome is really just a wish. It's a dream. But when you say in 12 weeks or in 90 days, you create this container for the result. It makes the big promise feel structured, it feels manageable, and most importantly, it feels real. It gives your customer a clear path from A to B. And finally, the mechanism. This is your secret sauce. It's the how behind the result. It's your unique process, your system, your special method. This does 2 really important things. First, it builds trust by showing you actually have a plan. And second, it separates you from everybody else who might be promising a similar outcome. All right, so theory is great and all, but let's actually see this framework in action. What we're going to do now is take a really common, super vague offer, and we're going to build it step by step into something powerful and specific. Okay, here's our starting point. You see this kind of thing everywhere, right? It's well-intentioned, but it's completely ineffective. Who are these women? What does help even mean? What kind of fitness? It's just a sea of vagueness. And because of that, it generates 0 confidence. Okay, let's add our first layer of clarity. We're going to specify the audience. Instantly, the offer gets stronger. I help busy moms. See, busy moms have very unique challenges. They have no time, they're low on energy, they're dealing with post-pregnancy bodies. We've just gone from shouting into a void to speaking directly to a specific person's problems. So now, what is the actual transformation they're paying for? Let's add that tangible outcome. I help busy moms lose 15 to 25 pounds. That is a concrete, measurable result. A busy mom now knows exactly what she's buying. And this is the key. We're selling the result, not just the process. Next, we add the timeline. This is what makes the promise feel safe and achievable. It's not this endless, frustrating journey. It's a focused 12-week project. That structure provides a huge sense of security, and it manages expectations perfectly from the very beginning. And here it is, the final powerful piece, the mechanism. Think about it. For a busy mom, what are the two biggest fears or objections? I don't have time for the gym, and I know I can't stick to some crazy diet. Well, by adding without restrictive diets or 2-hour gym sessions, we overcome those objections before she even has a chance to think them. This is our unique hack. So now that we've layered on all that specificity, let's put the original vague offer and our new powerful one side by side. You're gonna see a pretty dramatic difference. Just look at that contrast. The before sounds like a hobby, something you do on the side. The after sounds like a professional, high-value system. One is so easy to scroll past and dismiss. The other one, it commands attention and it builds immediate trust. It is so clear which one a customer would actually be willing to pay for. That is the power of clarity. Okay, now it's your turn. The goal here isn't just for you to understand this concept, it's for you to actually apply it. I want you to walk away from this with a tool you can use right now, today. Here's the template. I really want you to take a moment, pause this if you need to, and just fill in these blanks for your own offer. I help who to achieve what specific result in how much time, and what's your unique way of doing it. Maybe by removing a really common pain point. Don't overthink it, just get a first draft down on paper. So from now on, I want you to look at everything you create through this lens. Ask yourself this question: is your offer just an idea, or is it a transformation? Are you selling vague information that people can find for free somewhere else, or are you selling a clear, specific, and valuable transformation that people will feel truly confident investing in? Because making that shift, well, it'll change everything for you. So have you ever been there? You build something you are incredibly proud of, you open the doors for the big launch, and then it's just crickets. It's a really common and honestly painful problem for creators. You've got the audience, you've got a great product, but you launched it cold. Well, today we are breaking down the exact system to fix that. And this quote right here, this is the core philosophy we're gonna unpack. You can just forget about those big, flashy, hype-filled launches that, let's be honest, feel a little inauthentic anyway. A truly successful launch isn't about some sudden explosion of interest. No, it's about a careful, deliberate, psychological buildup that makes your offer feel completely inevitable to the right people. So what's the actual difference here? Well, the cold launch, it relies on hype, and that usually just leads to confusion for your audience and, you guessed it, low sales. It really feels like you're just shouting into the void. But the pre-sale method, it's systematic. It replaces all that hype with genuine desire. It replaces confusion with total clarity, and it gets you a list of high-intent buyers before you even think about posting a payment link. Okay, so how do we actually do it? We use a 5-day plan. And look, this isn't just another content calendar. Think of it as a psychological blueprint. Each and every day has one specific emotional goal, and it's designed to move your audience from just being kinda interested to being absolutely ready to buy. Let's dive in with day 1. Now, it's so important to understand this first step. It has absolutely nothing to do with selling your product. In fact, it's pretty much the exact opposite. The only goal on day 1 is to spark curiosity. That's it. You're just signaling that something new is on the horizon. And you do this by admitting a struggle. Maybe it's your own past struggle or one you see in your audience, and then you just tease that you've built a solution. You don't say what it is. A hook like, I've been quietly building something, paired with a super simple call to action like dropping an emoji, well, it creates all this intrigue without a hint of sales pressure. All right, on day 2, we make a pivot. We go from mystery to substance. Now that you have their attention, it's time to prove that this isn't just some vague idea, but something real. It's time to deliver some value. The key move here is to prove you have a named system. By giving your solution a name, something like the Legacy Launch System, you suddenly make it tangible and real. You could show a sneak peek of the modules or a shot of the workbook. You know, this single step builds a ton of credibility and totally shifts your audience's perception from, oh, they have an idea, to, wow, they have a proven process. So, we've sparked curiosity, we've demonstrated value. Day 3 is all about building trust. This is where you make that promised outcome feel not just possible, but totally achievable for them. Day 3 is all about proof. This can be social proof, screenshots of wins from early testers, or if you're just starting out, it can be logical proof, like a case study of your own transformation using this exact method. The whole goal is just to show your audience, look, this isn't just theory, it produces a real result. And this is the perfect moment to introduce a waitlist. Okay, now we're at day 4, and this is where the psychology gets really interesting. We're going to strategically introduce some limitations, but, and this is crucial, this is not about being gimmicky at all. So the goal here is scarcity, but it absolutely has to be justified. You're not just saying only 20 spots left, you're explaining why. For instance, I'm only taking 20 people because I provide hands-on support and audits for everyone, and I physically just cannot handle more than that. See how that frames the limitation as a huge benefit? It's about personalized attention, which makes the perceived value of your offer go through the roof. And that brings us to the final day, day 5. The build-up is complete. The audience is warm. It's finally time to open the doors. Day 5 is all about converting the desire you've built all week long into real action. The energy is high, the message is crystal clear, but notice that call to action? It's not click the link in my bio to buy. It's DM me the word ready. And this little detail, well, it's one of the most pivotal parts of the entire strategy. This small pivot from posting a public link to starting a private message is really the secret to a high-quality, low-stress launch. It's all about shifting from broadcasting at everyone to having a real conversation, which of course brings up the critical question, why go through this extra step, right? I mean, why not just post the sales link and let people buy? Here's why. Because your immediate goal isn't just to make a sale. It's to protect your time and your energy by only speaking to the most serious qualified buyers. That DM, it acts as a filter. Anyone who takes that extra step to message you is signaling a much higher level of intent than someone who just casually clicks a link they scroll past. And here's how that filter actually works. Step 1, they send the keyword. Step 2, you reply with just a few simple qualifying questions about their goals and if they're ready to invest. Based on their answers, you know immediately if they're a good fit. And here's the kicker. Only the truly qualified leads ever even see the payment link. This simple process keeps you from wasting time with tire kickers and completely shifts the dynamic from you chasing sales to you selecting your clients. So what's the one golden rule here? What's the philosophy that holds this whole system together? It all comes down to your mindset during the launch itself. It's this idea of systematic execution. Look, a launch can be a total emotional roller coaster, right? But this system is designed to remove all of that. You don't need to feel creative or motivated every single day. You just need to follow the steps. It's a repeatable process that replaces all the guesswork with a predictable, calm outcome. And this line from the source material just sums it up perfectly. Data over drama. When you feel overwhelmed, you don't panic. You just look at your playbook, you execute the very next step on the calendar, and you ignore everything else. It's that simple. So there you have it. That's the blueprint for launching to a warm, high-intent audience. It really proves that consistency is so much more powerful than creativity when it comes to this stuff. And that leaves us with one final thought to consider. What is one system you could build in your own work today to stop relying on having to hit a creative home run tomorrow? All right, let's talk about a system that's going to completely change how you handle your sales conversations. We're going to take your DMs from a place that, can be kind of frustrating and turn them into this really streamlined process for finding your absolute ideal clients. So, does this sound familiar? You get a DM from someone who seems interested and you spend, hours, maybe days, going back and forth, explaining everything, answering all their questions, only for the whole conversation to just fizzle out. It's a huge energy drain, right? And honestly, it can be pretty demoralizing. But what if I told you we could stop that cycle for good? The solution really starts with a pretty fundamental mindset shift. It's all about moving away from that kind of desperate energy of chasing every single person who messages you and stepping into this calm, confident posture of filtering. Filtering for the perfect fit. I mean, look at the two sides of this coin. On one side, you've got the chasing approach. It's all that endless back and forth. It leads to super low conversions and it just wipes out your energy. But on the other side, you've got the filtering approach. It's efficient, it protects your time, your most valuable asset, and it maintains your authority because you are the one selecting, not just selling. This is really the core philosophy we're talking about today. Don't chase, filter. See, when you have the right system in place, the perfect fit people just move through the process so smoothly, so easily. Your job isn't to convince anybody of anything, it's simply to identify the right people. Okay, so how do we actually do this? Well, it all comes down to the practical heart of this system. 4 specific questions that are going to do all the heavy lifting, all the filtering for you. This right here is the power of having a protocol, You know that emotional pull you feel? That urge to chase a lead because you really want it to work out? With this, you don't have to rely on willpower. You just rely on the system. It completely removes the emotion from the equation and replaces it with calm, systematic execution. Every single time. So here they are, the 4 questions. Let's just quickly break down what each one really reveals. Number 1, what are you trying to build? This tests their clarity. Do they even know what they want? Number 2, what's your income goal? This gauges their ambition and the scale of their thinking. 3, what have you tried that didn't work? This is huge. It uncovers their past struggles and it shows you if they actually value finding a new solution. And number 4, this is the direct but really respectful way to ask about their budget and their readiness to actually commit. Now, once you have the answers to these 4 questions, the path forward becomes incredibly simple. Really, there are only 2 possible outcomes. It creates this very clear fork in the road. And your response from here is absolutely crucial. If their answers show they're a great fit, you move them to the sale with total confidence. But if they're not ready yet, you don't ghost them, you don't get weird, you gracefully guide them towards some of your free resources, which preserves the relationship. You get to remain a helpful authority. You know what? They might just come back when they are ready. Alright, so theory is great, but let's see how this actually feels in a real practical example. This is exactly how you take back control of your DMs starting today. So it starts with a simple, really common inquiry, right? Someone slides into your DMs with this. Now, the old you might have launched into this long paragraph trying to explain everything, but the new you, you're going to do something very, very different. You immediately deploy the filter. And notice the framing here. Before I send details, I need to make sure this is the right fit. This instantly positions you as the expert who is qualifying them, not the other way around. Then you just copy and paste your 4 questions. Simple. And then you get a response back. Now look at this. They have a clear goal, a coaching program, a specific income target, $5K a month. They know what hasn't worked, generic courses. And they've confirmed, yes, I have a budget set aside. This is a perfectly qualified lead. There's zero ambiguity here. And because they're qualified, the close becomes simple and direct. There's no need for any more back and forth. You just confirm they're a fit, you state the investment clearly, and you provide the direct path for them to enroll. It's confident, it's clean, and it's incredibly efficient. So how do you put this into practice like today? Let's turn all this into a really simple, actionable plan. Okay, here's your immediate action plan. It's super easy. First, just copy the 4 questions from this explainer. Second, save them somewhere you can get to them instantly. Your phone's notes, a text replacement shortcut, whatever works. Next, and this is the important part, commit to using this filter on the very next person who DMs you. And finally, the golden rule. Do not send a payment link until they have answered those questions, period. And just remember this, you are not trying to become some high-pressure salesperson who can close anybody. That's not the point. You're becoming a strategist, someone who can efficiently identify the right people. This whole process is designed to bring you clients who are an absolute joy to work with, not to wrestle with people who just aren't a good fit. And I'll leave you with this final thought. Just take a second and think about all the time, all the mental energy you are currently spending in those dead-end DM conversations. Now imagine what you could create, what you could build, how much faster you could grow if you reclaimed all of those hours. That is the real power of a system like this. You've seen it, right? The ticking countdown timer, the only 2 left warning, it just feels like pressure. But what if urgency wasn't about manipulation at all? What if it was actually a tool for clarity? Well, in this explainer, we're going to dig into how to use deadlines ethically to actually help people make decisions. So, let's start with this question. Why do we always wait until the last minute? It's something we all do. That big project, that important decision, it just kind of sits there. And it's not because we're lazy, it's just how our brains are wired. See, without some kind of container, a clear deadline, a task just feels infinite. It's overwhelming. So our brain doesn't know where to start, and so it doesn't. And this leads to this weird paradox of having too much time. When a decision can be made anytime, you know when it gets made? Usually no time. That vague idea of later just becomes this permanent holding pattern. The thing that actually breaks that cycle isn't more motivation, it's a clear, honest boundary. That's what helps us finally get out of our heads and actually move from thinking to doing. Okay, so let's draw a really hard line in the sand here. On one side, you have what's called fake scarcity. Now, this is pure manipulation. We're talking fake countdown timers, false only two left claims. Its only goal is to create anxiety and just force a decision. But on the other side, you have ethical urgency, and it's built on the complete opposite foundation: honesty, clarity, structure, and a genuine goal of being of service. This right here, this is the key mindset shift. Urgency isn't pressure, it's clarity. It's not about twisting someone's arm, it's about giving them an honest structure for their own decision making. You're actually respecting them by giving them all the information they need, including the when, so they can make the absolute best choice for themselves. And this is the absolute, non negotiable foundation. For any of this to work, the reason for the limit has to be real. The deadlines you set must be based on actual, tangible constraints. Because the second you fake it, you've crossed right back over into manipulation and you lose all trust. It's that simple. So, what does this look like in the real world? Well, the first ethical lever is limited capacity. This isn't just some random number you pull out of a hat. It's the real operational max you can handle while still delivering a high quality experience. Think about a consultant who can only truly serve, say, 5 clients at a time, or a workshop that only has 30 chairs in the room. The limit is there to protect the quality for every single person involved. Our second lever is a planned price increase. And this is a totally transparent way to reward the people who decide early. It isn't a penalty for waiting, it's just a logical progression. You're simply communicating, hey, the current price is for this specific period or group, and the next one will reflect a different value. It's fair and clear. And the third lever is an enrollment window. This is probably the one you're most familiar with. It's just like a university application deadline or the open enrollment period for health insurance. It creates a really clear container for making a decision. The offer is available from this date to this date. It's a simple, honest boundary that creates focus for everybody. All right, let's connect all this to a real-world example. One of the sources we looked at talked about an online program that does this perfectly. They cap every single cohort at exactly 20 students. Not 19, not 21, 20. But the real question is, why? And here it is, the reason. That number, 20, isn't some clever marketing gimmick. It's an operational necessity. The person running the program gives personalized, hands-on feedback to every single student. And they've done the math. Any more than 20, and the quality of that support, the very thing people are paying for, would take a nosedive. The limit isn't about creating scarcity. It's an act of quality control. And this creates a perfectly clear and logical consequence. It's one of two things. Once those 20 spots are gone, that's it. Enrollment either closes completely until the next round, or the price goes up for the next group. There are no surprises, no last-minute extensions, just a clear, predictable outcome based on a very real limit. So how do you talk about these boundaries in a way that feels helpful, not hypey? Well, it really just comes down to these 3 simple, calm steps. First, you state the limit clearly and directly. Second, you explain the genuine, logical reason behind it. And third, you just calmly announce the natural consequence. No drama, no fuss, just the fact. And your tone is everything. You're not trying to be the screaming flash sale person. You're more like a calm, sincere guide. Your goal is just to deliver clear information, not to manufacture hype. You're presenting the logical situation, not making some big emotional plea. And right there, that is the difference between coercion and clarity. So let's kind of bring this all together. When it's grounded in truth, urgency is completely transformed. It stops being about manipulation and it becomes this clear, structured tool. Really, it's an act of service. You're not pressuring people, you're actually helping them overcome their own natural indecision by giving them the clear boundaries they need to make a confident choice. Which really just leaves us with a final thought. Instead of running away from deadlines because you're afraid of seeming salesy, how can you reframe them? How can you start to implement honest, real boundaries to help your own audience or your customers move forward with clarity and confidence, not pressure? Now that is the real power of ethical urgency. If you're finding these tutorials valuable and you're serious about integrating AI and automation into your business to save time and build scalable systems, I invite you to join our free school community. This isn't a place for hype or unrealistic promises. Instead, it's a focused environment where we continue the conversation, share practical workflows, and troubleshoot real-world AI implementation challenges together. Inside, you'll find extended discussions on the AI tools and automation strategies we cover here on the channel, exclusive mini tutorials and workflow breakdowns that go even deeper, a supportive network of fellow entrepreneurs, freelancers, and creators who are actively building with AI, opportunities to ask questions directly and get feedback on your own automation projects. It's a space dedicated to continuous learning and practical application, helping you move from understanding concepts to implementing effective AI solutions in your day-to-day operations. To join, simply click the link in the description below. I'm looking forward to connecting with you there and helping you further streamline your work and build real leverage with AI.